Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Providence City Council meeting on this Thursday, April 18th. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Miller.
Present.
Councilor Anderbois.
Present.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Present.
Councilman Espinal.
Present.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonsalves.
Present.
Councilwoman Graves.
Present.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Present.
Councilwoman Peterson. Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo.
Present.
Councilor Royas.
Present.
Councilwoman Ryan.
Present.
Majority Whip Sanchez.
Present.
Majority Leader Taylor.
Present.
Councilwoman Ana Vargas.
Present.
Councilman Oscar Vargas.
Present.
You have 15 present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This evening, the invocation will be given by Councilwoman Shelley Peterson. Will everyone please rise for the invocation, including our guests in the audience? Thank you. Will everyone please rise? Everyone, thank you so much. Councilwoman.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, great. Distinguished city councilors and guests, coming off the great spirit of camaraderie after the budget address, and as we gather here today to deliberate and make decisions that shape the future of our community, let us maintain the spirit of collaboration, unity, and wisdom. I use this moment to remind us all that in the diversity of our council, we each bring unique perspectives, experiences, and insights. Together, we form a powerful force of positive change and should never forget the strength we yield. Let us remember the words of Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. Just as iron strengthens iron through friction and refinement, let our interactions sharpen and refine one another, fostering growth, progress, and innovation. In our pursuit of common goals, let us lead with humility, integrity, and compassion. Good leadership is not about wielding power of authority, but about serving with dedication and selflessness, even when the masses may disagree with our choices. May we always lead by example, inspiring others to follow suit and uplift our neighborhoods through their actions. While our opinions and perspectives may differ, let us approach disagreement with respect, understanding, and willingness to listen. As we continue on this journey together, let us cultivate a spirit of mutual support and shared purpose. Through our collective efforts, guided by wisdom and inspired by our shared commitment to the common good, we can overcome challenges, seize opportunities, and build a brighter future for all of Providence. May we always be reminded that our work serves our most vulnerable and the loudest, most organized voices alike. And we should always keep this in mind as we make choices that impact the collective. With faith in our shared mission and confidence in our collective strength, let us proceed with courage, determination, and dedication to the well-being of our communities. Amen.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be led by President Pro Tem Juan Pichardo. Please remain standing for the pledge. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, item 3, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 3 and move approval.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item 4.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of items 4 through 12.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please note items 4 and 5 as received. Please refer items 6 through 10 to the Committee on Finance, and note items 11 and 12 as received.
So noted.
Item 13.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 13 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 13? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes.
I abstain, Council President, I'm sorry.
We have 14 ayes, 1 abstention. The motion passes. Item 14.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 14 and 15 and pass for the second time on a roll call vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Majority Leader Taylor.
Tonight is a tough decision for me, but I will be voting no on this ordinance tonight, not because I do not believe that we need a change in the 8 Law ordinance. I am voting no because of the process of hurrying this up and not listening to the public, as there was no public hearing. Plus, we are not listening to the 3 directors who were in the Finance Committee, the Sarah Silveri, Emily Friedman, and Janessa Muscatelli, who in that committee, they asked us for them to give them a week or 2 to digest this ordinance. In addition, with me checking with old council people, I believe this will be the first ordinance of significance in the history of Providence that has been passed without a public hearing. We have public hearings for school closings that were already on the list to be closed. We have public hearings on removal of bike lanes, which the council has no control of it. But an important item such as this ordinance, we did not have a public hearing. I ask why and what is the hurry? In the Finance Committee, I asked if there were any upcoming 8 Law requests, and I was told by all 3 directors there were none. We are setting a bad precedent by not having a public hearing on this and rushing it through when we are being told by the directors that they do not have the staff, do not have the right technology, and are asking for a couple of weeks to figure this out. I've been around in the fire department for 28 years. I see how we rush things in the city. We pass stuff, even in the fire department, and it never gets done because we don't have the proper software or whatever, and it takes 2 or 3 years. So, also, I would like to apologize for the one person who came to the finance meeting, took time out of their schedule to come to the committee, and was denied. He could not speak. I understand it was a public hearing, not a public hearing, but why are we shutting the public down and not allowing them to speak? What message do we send by not listening to the public? I ask you, is this considered open, clean, and transparent government? I've heard this for the last 5 years from some of my colleagues, and I say no, and for those reasons I am voting no and would ask my colleagues to think long and hard on this rush-through ordinance. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Majority Leader Taylor. Majority Whip Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. Today I rise in strong support of this ordinance. This ordinance closes essentially a loophole that wealthy, politically connected Providence business people, residents have taken advantage for the past few years. And that is receiving a tax incentive that's meant to incentivize real affordable housing. Although there wasn't a public hearing directly, there has been so much community outreach support for us to do our job. And what is our job? Our job is to stand up and fight for the people of Providence. In my opinion, that's what we're doing here today. In regards to concerns about the letters from administration directors, in my opinion, I believe that was an intentional move by the administration to stall this process out. We all know from different channels that the administration had the latest ordinance since March 18th, and we received those letters 1 hour before the Finance Committee meeting. In my opinion, if there were real concerns, we would address them in a more timely manner. And even furthermore, we had a very healthy discussion with said directors during that finance meeting, and it came to the conclusion, at least from 4 of the finance members, because that was the vote to vote it out of the Finance Committee, that some of those concerns, all of those concerns actually, could be addressed in future conversations regarding procedures and implementation. This ordinance, like I said, the last council meeting might be one of the most important pieces of legislation this council body passes. And although that some folks think that there isn't a rush, it has came to all of us at this point that there is folks taking advantage, seeking to take advantage, have taken advantage of this loophole the past few weeks, months. So while I do appreciate concerns, I think it's healthy to have open dialogues, hear each other out. That's the democratic process. This ordinance is for the people of Providence, and that's why I'm standing in strong support of it. Thank you, Madam President.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonsalves.
Madam President, I'd also like to echo the remarks of my colleague here. This is about the people of Providence. We know loud and clear there are people knocking at the door right now to leverage these 8 law tax treatments that they shouldn't be leveraging. Quite frankly, the 8 law was written very specifically to help low-income residents in our community. The fact that we have developers all across our city that are leveraging this tax treatment on commercial properties, on residential units that are not deed restricted, or residential units that do not help low-income residents in our city is problematic. So this really is about the people of Providence, and the right thing to do is to ensure that the people who should be benefiting from the 8 law tax treatment are actually benefiting. So I highly encourage all of my colleagues today to vote in strong support of this ordinance because it is truly the right thing to do for the people in the city of Providence. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Other discussion on items 14 or 15? Councilwoman Graves.
I too am going to vote for this ordinance. I do believe that this is the fairest thing that we can do for the people in our communities. They have wondered why the privileged keep on getting over on their taxes, and every time they turn around, they're being taxed. We have to stop this. This is a way of doing it, and this is also a message stating that it's no longer going to happen. It may have been happening for decades. Those days are over. We are going to scrutinize. We're going to invest. We're going to research, and we're going to do what is best for the people in the city of Providence, not for what is best for the pockets of the people that's been getting over for numerous years.
Further discussion, items 14 and 15. Councilman Royas.
Madam President, first I just want to say amen to my counselor who represents the Smithfield neighborhood. As my colleagues have mentioned, 8 law is a state law that was designed to support low-income housing. The fact that we have had millionaire developers try to exploit that loophole in the state law to feather their own nest is just absolutely disgusting. I truly try to be diplomatic with my words and be intentional. And I'm at a loss for words as far as what has happened. To the developers out there who might be listening, this council stands ready to be a partner with you as long as you're not going to exploit the residents of this city. No longer will you be the welfare queens of this city. We want to support you, but you cannot exploit the taxpayers. This state law is meant for low-income housing, not for high-end luxury housing. And to my colleague's point, this council will scrutinize everything because our constituents sent us here to be diligent and to do the right thing. So I'll leave it at that, but thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Further discussion on items 14 or 15? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
No, Council President.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I saw Council Harris's microphone.
Councilwoman Ryan, please.
Thank you very much. I rise in opposition to item 14, largely because of the way it is drafted. I heard this evening some comments that are really untrue and misunderstood. I have stood before and expressed that the 8 law, state law that was created, was not a law that was created to create affordable housing. It was a law that was put in place, lobbied for very hard, in order to provide a tax break for developments that had already happened that were largely created by Rhode Island Housing. And the law was intended to provide a discount on their taxes. It was never intended to be an instrumentality to create affordable housing. For whatever reason, it was abused over the years, and I don't support that. Administratively, we should have been more diligent. The mayors, the administrations, the council that came and served between the time 8 Law started and today were asleep at the wheel. What is before you tonight is an ordinance that is not well drafted. There are many challenges. Those challenges we heard loud and clear in the Finance Committee, I believe, yes, wherein the administration expressed a number of concerns. And I would expect them to have concerns. We're not an organization established to qualify income. It's not our role. It's not the City of Providence's role. The tax assessor has a big obligation and a large duty. The agency, there is a number of agencies that are set up, largely Rhode Island Housing. That's all they do, is qualify people based on income. And income changes over time, and programs are written, and the language is very specific to, is it income, initial income that you qualify for? So you qualify a unit of housing at 80% for someone. That person gets a raise. That person gets married. The income grows. Is that unit going to stay as an affordable housing, or is it no longer going to be an affordable unit? There's many, many things that haven't been addressed in this ordinance, and I don't understand the rush. I've heard council folks say that it's about the people of Providence. Yes, that's our job. We're legislators, and it's not an easy task, but we have to find the balance. And if we vote to approve this without doing our due diligence, it's not right, and we're going to probably open ourselves up for more lawsuits down the road. It's not the business we should be in. We're building a bureaucracy here that we have no business to be in. We don't have the expertise to be in. Do we want to create an entire department that approves eligibility across the City of Providence? That's a budgetary concern, an issue. But that's what you're asking. That's what this ordinance is asking to be done. And I don't agree. I was told that we'll work it out, we'll work the procedures and the process out later, but let's pass this. That makes no sense to me. For the years that I've served on this council, when you pass an ordinance, you address all of the challenges up front, not after the fact. You don't fix things on the fly. You don't you don't fix the plane or build the plane when it's flying. You fix it, you make sure it's right, you do your due diligence, you open it up for public opinion, and then you pass the ordinance that makes sense and addresses the priorities. Affordable housing is a priority. It should be priority for us. But let's not rush on this, folks. I urge caution. Let's take our time and get it right. That's all.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Further discussion on items 14 or 15?
Madam President?
Councilor Royce.
Thank you. I just rise. I want to speak to this, the point about not rushing. We don't have time right now. We have a second millionaire developer who's knocking at our door to get the 8 Law treatment. So for my colleagues who are warning us about not rushing into this too quickly, how many more millionaire developers are we going to allow to take advantage of this loophole? So I hear about I understand about the implementation concerns, but we really do need to move fast on this. Thank you.
Any
Council
further
President,
discussion? Councilor.
Just say no.
Any further discussion?
Madam President.
Pro Tem Pichardo.
Thank you, President Miller. I rise to speak, and I wasn't going to speak, but as my colleague, Majority Leader, had indicated, I also had some reservations in terms of how quickly this is moving. I am a person that like to have the due process and that people get to be heard. I also understand that the makeup of our city, not only are the residents of 190,000 people, but it's also the businesses, the developers. They're a key part. And, you know, I am going to vote in favor of this because I think it's part of the equation of providing more affordable housing to the residents in the city of Providence and to hold developers. But I do it also with hesitation because I think that we, as it was said before, we needed to dive in a little more and hear from even the developers, even those wealthy. They also deserve an opportunity to be heard. That doesn't mean that we have to agree, just like we sit here as counselors and we get the opportunity to state and speak our mind. But just like as we got here with the promise of having a voice at the table, to have a due process, and to be able to make a very informed decision, I think that as we move forward with other things, that we should also take in a hearings that people also deserve that voice. And I again, with hesitation, I vote in favor. I'm not asking my colleagues to vote in favor or no, but I wanted to speak my mind on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Miller.
Aye.
Councilor Anderbois.
Aye on both.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Aye.
Councilman Espinal. Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonsalves.
Aye.
Councilwoman Graves.
Aye.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson.
Aye.
Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo.
Aye.
Councilor Royas.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryan.
No on 14, aye on 15.
Majority Whip Sanchez.
Aye.
Majority Leader Taylor.
No on 14, aye on 15.
Councilwoman Ana Vargas.
Aye.
Councilman Oscar Vargas.
Aye.
You have 13 ayes and 2 nays on number 14 and 15 ayes on number 15. The motion carries. The matters are approved for the second time on a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 16, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of items 16 and 17.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on items 16 and 17? Councilman Gonsalves.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to thank everyone who joined us this evening, and I'm particularly grateful to you, Council President Miller, for your steadfast leadership on the ordinance to protect the South Water bike lanes. And I also just want to give a big round of applause to everyone who is still here, who's still advocating. So thank you very much. I see Brown medical students and other folks here who stuck around. And I also just want to extend my thanks to the colleagues who co-sponsor this ordinance, Councilor Royas, Anderbois, Ana Vargas, Sanchez, Harris, Council President Miller. Your support is so critical, and I urge those who have not signed on to this to consider backing this important measure. I also want to thank Liza Birkin, Dylan Giles from the Providence Streets Coalition. Ultimately, the purpose of this ordinance is to safeguard our bike lanes in the city of Providence and to ensure that City Council approval is required for the removal of bike lanes. We've heard loud and clear from our constituents all across the city that they are opposed to removing those bike lanes. We heard it here tonight from families who live very close to that bike lane that don't want to see it removed. So I just asked my colleagues to have some empathy for the people who live in our city, for the people who love that waterfront, for the people who know what it was like when it was a 2-lane drag strip. This is about us. This is about the city of Providence. This is about our neighborhoods. It's not about the people who are trying to rush out of the city during rush hour. And we, again, received nearly 300 letters opposing the removal of the bike lanes. And it's time for us to stand strong with those people and to say to the mayor that what he's proposing, removing the bike lanes, is ill-conceived. There's no data that justifies the proposed removal. The administration has not provided that data. We have asked for it. And this is clearly driven by prior campaign promises as opposed to what is actually happening on South Water Street. So I urge all of us to ensure that we're using our power to protect the community's interest. We're not just fighting against a removal, we're fighting to uphold our values and to ensure that the voices of the people, specifically the people who live close to South Water Street, to ensure that their voices are heard. So I want to thank you for your continued advocacy and support. And for those who have not co-sponsored this piece of legislation, I really, really hope that you'll be willing to join us in that effort. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Further discussion on items 16 and 17? 17, Madam?
Yes.
Councilwoman, please.
I apologize. On reading this, it says the historic overlay district. I was just wondering, are we overlooking any other historical districts? Because I believe that Southside and Smith Hill have buildings that far precede these dates that some of these things are listed. And I just want to make sure, like I said, that we are making sure that we're being fair to everybody and that it's not just a certain side, certain district, or certain things. I know for a fact that Smith Street, Pekin Street, Alma, all those streets are much older than almost every street that's listed there. So I'm a little concerned that sometimes we just look in certain areas because of that area's being a little bit more wealthy than the others. And I don't think that we should do that. I just think that we need to start looking into all of the things, because it's not like that information is not out there. If you go and just Google anything, you'll find out how much older, especially Southside and the North End is. So I would appreciate that we think about that one.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Further discussion on items 16 or 17? All in favor of the motion to waive the reading of those items?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Madam Clerk, please.
Oh, hold on, I want to, I'm sorry, I want to abstain both on 16 and 17. I'm sorry.
Okay. So we have 14 in favor and 1 abstention on items 16 and 17.
I apologize. I'm abstaining on 17 also.
Okay, this is just a motion to waive the
I
reading of items 16 and 17. Okay, we've got 2 abstentions on 17. Both items pass. Madam Clerk, please refer items 16 and 17 to the Committee on Ordinances.
So noted.
Item 18, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 18 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Item 19.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 19.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 19? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the item passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 19 to the Committee on Finance.
So noted.
And item 20, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of items 20 and 21 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on items 20 and 21? Councilwoman Anderbois.
Thank you so much, Madam President. I'm going to speak briefly on item 21, the resolution opposing the relocation of Rhode Island Central Bus Hub. I put this in for many reasons, and I also think I worked on it with Councilor Sanchez and the council staff. But at the request of a lot of bus riders in my ward who ride the RIPTA regularly, who have real big concerns about and really legitimate concerns about the removal of the central bus hub from Kennedy Plaza to a new location, particularly ones being discussed that are so far from the central areas of the city. And I also put this in because those RIPTA riders have been denied the opportunity for public comment in every forum that has been open to discuss this. And so I've requested that this get sent to committee, this will hopefully be sent to the Environment Committee so that we can have an opportunity for riders to have the chance to have their comments heard on the public record for all to hear, and that we can make sure that people's voices are heard in this discussion and not overlooked. The people who ride the buses and the people who would like to ride the buses and currently find it inconvenient, should have their voices heard in any discussion happening about the future of where a bus hub goes, and to leave them out of that conversation is just patently wrong. And so I put this in on their behalf and to support their efforts in this.
Before we continue discussion, I just wanted to pause. I just heard a request. Majority Leader Taylor, would you consider would you consider withdrawing your motion to waive the readings of items 20 and 21, and instead move and pass on a voice vote, and instead move just to consider item 20 and pass on a voice vote? So moved. And do we have a second on that? Madam Clerk, does that satisfy what we needed to do? All right. So right now, let's just discuss item 20. Any discussion on item 20? Councilman Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I just want to thank you for putting in this resolution in recognizing Rhode Island's second annual Cambodian Genocide Day of Remembrance. But more importantly, I just want to invite everyone to the celebration event that we will be having here at the City Council chambers on Saturday, April 27th at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you, Councilman. Further discussion on item 20? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. And now I would like to entertain a motion to waive the reading of item 21 and refer to the Committee on Sustainability, please. Environment and Resiliency, I am so sorry. Thank you very much. Do I hear that motion? Thank you. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 21 to the Committee on Environment and Resiliency. Thank you.
noted.
Thank you. Item 22, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 22 and refer back to the Committee on Finance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 22? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 22 back to the Committee on Finance.
So noted.
Okay, item 23.
Point of clarification, I'm sorry. Well, I just wondering why it's going back to finance?
I don't know, that's what I got on here. What was the deal here?
Chairwoman, are you aware?
I am unaware. I thought that we had finalized that, but we're happy to take it back and... Nope, we're not.
I don't know, that's why they have
Okay,
it on.
I'm sorry. There is a, this sounds like a tactical problem relative to the reference to the Home Rule Charter that we have to clear up before we pass. That is what is happening. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I'm sorry, did we already take that vote on item 22?
We did.
We have. All right, item 23, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 23 and pass for the first time on a roll call vote and substitute the fiscal note.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 23? Chairwoman Anthony.
Thank you so much, Madam President, members of the council. On April 2nd, the Finance Committee acted on 5 tax stabilization agreement applications, and continued one for 146 Adelaide to a later meeting. These were the first TSAs the council has entertained since we were put in office for this term. So there was considerable angst among the developers about our review. 4 of the 6 TSAs were related to the project on Gano Street, and you will see them as items 23, 24, 25, and 26. The project is proposed to be built in 4 phases, and the developer was requesting a TSA for all 4 phases at the same time. The Finance Committee asked questions to determine whether the project met the requirements of our current TSA ordinance. We also received a report from an independent consultant who reviewed the finances of the first phase, which is item number 3, to determine whether the project could move forward without a TSA, and the consultant determined that the TSA was necessary. And I'm just going to say it's my hope that we will amend our TSA to include this analysis, the financial analysis, because we as a city cannot afford to give TSAs to projects that don't need one. Another requirement of the TSA ordinance is that construction must start within 12 months. 165 Gano Street will start within that time frame, which is why we're recommending approval. The rest of the phases will not. I believe the testimony was that the last phase would be complete in 2030, which is well beyond what is contemplated by our TSAs. And
Councillor, I apologize. If you could keep your comments to item 23.
I'm sorry. The Finance Committee is recommending approval of item 23.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Further discussion on item 23.
Madam
Majority Leader
President,
Taylor.
Can I talk about TSAs in general?
You can talk about item 23 and TSAs in general.
Which is TSA, okay. So I'm going to stand up and explain why I support tax stabilization agreements. As we all know, as a city council, there's not much that we can control. We can't control the cost of living, the current inflation, as we know, with the cost of eggs, milk, gas, your basics. We as a city council cannot control inflation. The city council can control city taxes and fees. TSAs are an economic tool that give the city council some control to get more taxes for the city. 36 years ago, when I became a Providence fireman, as some people can remember, some weren't here yet, there was many vacant buildings, boarded up, fires throughout the city, and it was unbelievable. Back then, no one wanted to even develop camera film in the city of Providence. So that was a camera we used to have film in it. I just want to explain that. I know. It is the job of the city council to be responsible for the economic well-being in the city as a whole. At the end of the day, the city needs to be competitive with local city and towns as well as neighboring states. Many developers are keeping an eye on what the city council does with these TSAs. The TSAs that are before you were submitted some 15 months ago, and this is unfair to the developers that put them in at that time as it took that long. Inflation has risen in the past 15 years. Not only is the commercial rate the highest around in the state of Rhode Island, but the cost of material and labor has soared as well. We need to pass these TSAs to let developers know the city of Providence is open for business. My constituents in Ward 8 are the last ones that can afford another tax increase. They are living paycheck to paycheck because of the inflation that hit us all. TSAs are just one tool in the shed that we can use to stabilize or maybe even lower taxes for our constituents in the future. We have a revaluation coming up this year, and I'm looking for any ways to lower taxes for my constituents in Ward 8. More development in the city equals more taxes for the city. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Other discussion on item 23. Councillor Gonsalves.
Madam President, I also stand and want to echo the remarks of my colleague here. We have an affordability crisis in the city, and it's something that we need to address. One of the challenges that we experience, I think particularly in my neighborhood, and I've lived in my neighborhood for a long time, is people are sometimes opposed to development because of massing and scale, and then they're opposed to development because it doesn't include affordability when they've never actually fought for affordability in these units in the first place. The goalpost keeps moving. And I think what we need to do as a city is to ensure that there are fair rules for people who want to leverage these kinds of agreements so that we are growing our tax base, as Councilman mentioned here, but to also ensure that we're creating housing affordability options. The only way that we're going to do that is by actually spurring more development. It's simple economics, and I went to Brown and studied some of this stuff, but it's a supply and demand issue. If we don't have more supply of housing, we will not be able to meet the demand, and the price of housing is going to continue to rise. In Fox Point in particular, this is just kind of my institutional knowledge, a lot of my neighbors have been completely priced out of their own neighborhood. A lot of those people would love it. Fox Point is one of the most nostalgic places, I think, for people who have lived there in the past. It was a very vibrant community of Cape Verdean, Irish, Portuguese immigrants. Some of those people are literally hanging on by a thread as taxes continue to rise. I've got seniors, folks who are elderly on a fixed income. They can't afford to pay more in taxes. And then at the same time, we've got people who have been priced out of their neighborhood as a result of the fact that Brown University students are competing for those same units. So the only way we address that issue is by meeting the demand, by creating more supply so people actually have places where they can live. Now, I want to say, and I 100% agree with Councilwoman Anthony on this issue. We need to go back and amend our TSA ordinance so that it stipulates exactly what we're looking for if we want to spur more affordability. The way that it's currently written, however, it stipulates various obligations that developers or folks who want to build have to comply with. And if they're meeting the stipulations that are within those TSA ordinance, then it totally makes sense that we make sure that we're meeting our end of the bargain. That includes commencing construction within 12 months of obtaining a certificate of occupancy within 36 months. It means compliance with minority and women-owned businesses. Those are economic jobs for people in our city. It means reporting requirements to the city council on the project's progress. It means contributions to our Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. These are things that are benefiting the city, and as the councilman pointed out, it's growing our tax base. So I believe that TSAs are a tool to continue the smart growth. I think we need to be very nuanced about the growth that happens in our city, but that helps that growth continue. And quite frankly, Gano Street, in my opinion, has been a mess for a long time. And I think it's also been kind of exacerbated by some of the issues with the Washington Bridge closure. It's a key artery into the city of Providence. I would love to see Gano Street revitalized to contribute to our local economy. And I think right now, with the rising costs, interest rates, labor, goods, the lack of predictability in our marketplace, we have to do everything that we can to spur more housing opportunities for the residents of our city. So I concur with everything that our councilman said here, and I appreciate this body for listening.
Thank you, Councilor. Other discussion on item 23. Councilwoman Graves.
Okay, we're talking about 23.
We are talking about 23 only.
Only.
Yes.
But it sounds like we're talking about more, a way of us
That
trying
is,
to
I strongly agree with you. Thank you for pointing that out, Councilwoman.
Yeah.
Would anyone else like to discuss item 23?
Item 23 is the one that we, the Finance Committee, decided to send to this floor. And that's to be the only one that really should be in this, because the other ones were really denied. My problem with this is I think if we are counting on committees to go in, listen, get all the information, and decide on something, then we should respect them enough and think that they did what they were supposed to do and not try to circumvent. Because that's what's happening. And there are going to be times we're all going to be outvoted. But that does not mean that we should be going around other people's backs and trying to push our agenda another way. If you're outvoted, you're outvoted. If this was already decided, then it should have been decided. So my thing is, I think we need to be voting on 23 and moving on.
Other discussion on item 23, Councilman Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. So first, I would like to thank the developer and the lawyer for the developer for opening up the finances of this development. I think at the very least, that's something that we should be doing bare minimum with all TSA requests. So I do want to thank them for willing to do that. But although I did vote to get this out of committee because I think there was good dialogue, a lot of cooperation, I'll be voting no on this development, and it's a pretty simple reasoning, and that's because this TSA has not one deed restricted unit in it. Although we are talking about building more housing, which I think is very important. In my opinion, though, the second you ask the city or the municipality where you are developing for a tax stabilization agreement, then in my opinion, we have full rights to request different things in it, like affordable deed restricted units. So that's why I'll be voting no on it. I do understand that we most likely do need to amend the TSA ordinance to reflect that. But until we do that, it's going to be really hard for me to support any TSAs that don't have any affordable components to it. Although we should be supporting housing in general, I think we get to a very slippery lane when we're just supporting anything. In my opinion, a development like this isn't for the people of Providence. It's for people with Boston salaries, with New York City salaries, and then we start running into gentrification concerns. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Other discussion on item 23? Hearing none. Majority Leader Taylor.
If I'd just like to make a clarification, the city paid, I don't know, $8,000 to $10,000 to do a, I don't know exact price, paid a consultant to come back with a very lengthy paperwork showing how much taxes would come back to the city. And actually, this is a tax exempt, so I don't understand why my colleagues would vote against taxes coming in, because we haven't been getting taxes for over 20 years. So even if we get $1, that's $1 off better a year than we were. So just to put in your mind, it's like a church and a society association. It's tax exempt, it's not paying taxes. So any taxes that we collect will be better than what we're getting now. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion. Item 23. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Miller.
Aye.
Councilor Anderbois.
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Aye.
Councilman Espinal.
Aye.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonsalves.
Aye.
Councilwoman Graves.
Aye.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson.
Aye.
Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo.
Aye.
Councilor Royas.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryan.
Aye.
Majority Whip Sanchez.
Nay.
Majority Leader Taylor.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ana Vargas.
Aye.
Councilman Oscar Vargas.
Aye.
You have 14 ayes, 1 nay. The motion carries. The matter is approved for the first time on a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 24.
Madam President,
Majority.
I feel like I'm going to the judge. Can I have one moment with you before we do this, or no, I can't do that?
Sure, we could take a
Just
very
one,
short
just one
recess.
second. I
Thank
just want to
you.
go by.
All right. I believe we are reconvened.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
That's okay.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of items 24 through 26 and deny and substitute the fiscal notes.
Second, Madam President.
Okay, we have a motion to waive the readings of items 24 through 26 and deny those items and also substitute the fiscal notes. And we have a second on that motion. Chairwoman Anthony.
And I'm not sure I have much more to add. I spoke inappropriately on the reason why we are recommending denial of the rest of these, and it is because these phases 2 through 4 do not meet our TSA ordinance requirement that the construction start within 12 months. And that really was the reason why we were able to approve phase 1, because we felt they met the requirements of the ordinance, but failed clearly the requirements of the ordinance in phases 2, 3, and 4. And so it's not that they can't come back at the appropriate time and reapply for a TSA when they are ready, but we cannot be granting TSAs on projects that aren't going to be complete until 2030, I believe was what the date was. It's just not what our ordinance was meant to do, and so that is why we're asking that the phases 2, 3, and 4 be denied.
Thank you. Further discussion on items 24 through 26.
Madam
Majority Leader
President,
Taylor.
can you have the city solicitor?
I will do that before we vote.
Okay, so I'm going to stand up and mention it now. So obviously I told you about why I'm in favor of TSAs, but I want the membership to know that an aye vote means to deny, and a nay vote means to means you approve it, because I want to make a motion after to actually send it to the Finance Committee, because I think we have new developments on it. But I just want people to know, an aye vote.
And I will have the solicitor clarify that.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have discussion on this motion to deny?
Sure. It is, like I said before, it's the job of the city council to be responsible for the economic well-being in the city as a whole. And at the end of the day, the city needs to be competitive with local city and towns as well as neighboring states. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion. Councilman Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm just echoing the voices of the Finance Chairwoman on the reason on why we're denying this. These developments aren't going to happen for a couple years. I don't want us to be in a place like the previous council in approving a TSA, like the Superman building. Years later, still no development, not helping the revenue grow, not helping anything but certain politically connected developers. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Further discussion on items 24 through 26.
Point of
Councilwoman
clarification.
Peterson, yes.
I just have a question. I'm sorry, a clarification. Just to understand, a vote in support of this is to deny these. A vote opposing it is to send them back to finance?
Nope. That is, Mr. Solicitor, would you please weigh in on what an aye vote is and also what a nay vote is on this motion to deny?
On these 3 specific items.
Correct.
A vote approving an aye vote would be to deny these 3 items. If you vote nay, you're opposing the denial of these 3 items.
Perfect. Does that make sense? So the motion on the floor is to deny the 3 items. Voting aye does just that. Voting nay says no, I do not want to deny these 3 items. Does that make sense? Okay. Further discussion on
Yes.
items 20. We're clear. Councilwoman Graves.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but that should have been discussed at that committee. If you knew this, you should have made sure it was clarified. The comment from Jen.
Yes, thank you. So I wasn't sure. Please refer your comments to me, but please do make your point, Councilwoman.
Yes.
Thank you.
It was, when we voted, it was clear what we were voting for. If we were doing it in the wrong way. It should have been said there. The solicitor was there, and my colleague was there.
Just to be clear, Councilwoman, no one is saying that anything was improperly done. It's just confusing, but this is just the way it happens. A motion to deny means a yes vote is to deny. Just to be clear.
So what are we, then I need clarification. So we are voting to bring this back to?
No, ma'am. We are, the motion on the floor right now is a motion to deny items 24, items 25, and items 26. That's all it is. So
Okay.
an aye vote says yes, I want to deny items 24, 25, and 26. Is that clear? Okay, thank you very much,
Madam
Councilwoman.
President, I'd like to clarify something with the city solicitor. If we vote, I don't know how it's going to go. If we vote nay, if there's a majority of
I'm
numbers.
sorry, Councilman, I'm sorry, Majority Leader Taylor.
Well, I'm asking if I can come out with another motion after.
We're not there yet, sir.
Okay.
So we are right now discussing the motion on the floor for items 24, 25, and 26.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm
So
doing it
anyone,
right.
and
Thank you.
if we'll get to the next part, when we get to the next part, we'll do it all together as a city council. Is there any further discussion on the motion on the floor to deny items 24, 25, and 26? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Miller.
Aye.
Councilor Anderbois.
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Aye.
Councilman Espinal.
Aye.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonsalves.
Nay.
Councilwoman Graves.
Aye.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson. Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo.
Aye.
Councilor Royas.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryan.
Aye, aye, aye.
Majority Whip Sanchez.
Aye.
Majority Leader Taylor.
Nay.
Councilwoman Ana Vargas.
Aye.
Councilman Oscar Vargas.
Nay.
You have 12 ayes, 3 nays. The motion to deny has passed. The matters are denied.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And Council, this was our first motion to deny that we just successfully navigated. We're learning some arcane Roberts rules together. Item 27, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 27 and pass for the first time on a roll call vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second on item 27. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none. Councilwoman Peterson? Okay. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Miller.
Aye.
Councilor Anderbois.
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Aye.
Councilman Espinal.
Aye.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Gonsalves.
Aye.
Councilwoman Graves.
Aye.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Aye.
Councilwoman Peterson.
Aye.
Council President Pro Tempore Pichardo.
Aye.
Councilor Royas.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryan.
Aye.
Majority Whip Sanchez.
Nay.
Majority Leader Taylor.
Aye.
Councilwoman Ana Vargas.
Aye.
Councilman Oscar Vargas.
Aye.
You have 14 ayes and 1 nay. The motion carries. The matter is approved for the first time on a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item 28, please.
Madam President.
Majority Leader Taylor.
Motion to waive the reading of items 28 through 37 and pass on a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Items 28 through 37. Councilor Royas.
I'm sorry, Madam President, if it's not too late, could I correct my vote?
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Items 28 through 37. Hearing none. All in favor of items 28 through 37?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, all of those items pass. Thank you very much. And item 38, please.
Madam President.
Majority Leader Taylor.
Motion to waive the readings of items 38 through 42.
Second, Madam President.
We have a motion and a second on items 38 through 32. Any discussion on those motions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Madam Clerk, please refer item 38 to the Committee on Ordinances, 39 to Claims and Pending Suits, 40 and 41 note as received, and 42 please refer to the Committee on Finance.
So noted.
Item 43, please.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 43 and pass on a voice vote.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on item 43? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Item 44.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 44 and pass on a unanimous rising vote.
Second, Madam President.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes.
Madam President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
if there's no further business, I'd
Madam
like to
President?
adjourn. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry,
At the appropriate time announcement? Oh, sure.
would you like a point of personal expression?
Sure.
All
Yes.
right. President Pro Tem.
Yes, before we adjourn, I just wanted to share with everyone information that we might have or might not have. It is that we know that Earth Day is actually Monday, April the 22nd, and tomorrow, the 19th, the Roger Williams Park and the mayor and all of us as partnership, including the city council, is going to have a time for our kids who attend public schools or just in general to volunteer at the Roger Williams Park to, walk the park and pluck, as they call it, pick litter while you walk. And many of us are participating in events throughout April, and I commend you for all that. So we're all invited to join us tomorrow, 9:30, for those of us who want to walk in the park and pluck. And the other is that we're going to have some food and other demonstration of the mayor's and our city, the conversation about water and conserving water at Roger Williams Park. So join us at 12 o'clock. Invite some of the students as they're ending their spring break. And so just wanted to share that information and and share it among our Providence residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Majority Leader Taylor.
Madam President, if there's no further business, I'd like to adjourn in memory of Grace Gunnup, Dominga Montrond, Alfred Doc Augusta, and Richard Dick Plotz.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are adjourned. Thank you all so much for tonight.